Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2002's Eight-Legged Freaks, which was directed by Elroy Ekelyem. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik. Wait a minute, Alec. I thought we were watching 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler.
No, we're watching Eight Below with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, Eight Below. That wasn't Cuba Good. That was Snow Dogs, dude.
What's Eight Below?
Eight Below is with Paul Walker, R.I.P.
Does he have dogs in that?
Yeah, it's like there's a storm and he has to leave all the snow dogs behind, and he's like, oh, they're dead. They definitely didn't survive the storm, and he goes back and they're all like alive, or most of them. It's like a Homeward Bound in the like Antarctica, pretty much.
It's based on true events, right?
I don't know, but R.I.P. Paul Walker, R.I.P. All right, anyway, Eight-Legged Freaks.
I was insanely surprised this was on HBO Max. I thought this would be on like Tubi or something, you know?
I thought it'd be rotting in a $5 bin at Walmart, like at the bottom, like just with mold and like dust.
I mean, on paper, if you were to just look at this movie, you'd be like, okay, this is like a sci-fi movie or like some absolute trash. But somehow it's got like a pretty decent cast.
I mean, you got Scarlett Johansson in her early days. You got David Arquette, Tom Noonan.
Who's Tom Noonan?
Dude, the guy who played Joshua at the beginning, the spider guy. That is our boy, Pride of Connecticut, Frankenstein and the Monster Squad.
Pride of Connecticut.
And he's also in House of the Devil. Remember the taller guy?
Yes, that's the thing. I recognized him immediately from House of the Devil. I was like, oh, that's that creepy old guy. I didn't know he was in Monster Squad, though.
He plays bogus Frankenstein.
Well, dude, he didn't get credited in this, which is really strange because I think he's like the first actor we see, right? Or like one of them.
Well, you see the truck driver, and then you see him picking up the crickets.
Yeah, but like they talk about him a lot. He's like the first death of the movie, I feel like.
What do you mean he's not credited?
I don't know. It says uncredited. So it's like Tom Noonan as Joshua Taft, uncredited. And it was on IMDb, it was uncredited. So I was like, okay. Yeah. Like, I wonder why he didn't want to be credited. Or maybe they just didn't credit him. But I'm like, he definitely should be. He has a character name. He dies. Like, he's clearly important in the film. So he should be credited. So it probably was his choice.
Probably his choice. He probably just didn't want to be. He's like, I don't want to be in this shit film or something. I actually, you know what, man? You just said it best. Like, you think it's going to be pitiful, awful. And like, yeah, going into this week, I was like, I don't want to watch this stupid movie. And it has a charm to it. It has a 2002 charm to it.
Yeah, it's very 2002. Like, the music was very 2002. Even like the way everybody dressed. Like, yeah, it's a time capsule. You know, we always kind of say that.
Got like the X Games motocross going on, like with the Monster Energy drink guys.
Big time. Those guys were straight out of like Harold and Kumar, the like extreme. Like there was like those guys. But yeah, so that guy was uncredited, the Tom Noonan guy. But also, before we move on, get ready to say Pride of Connecticut again, Erik.
What?
The sheriff is from Brookfield, Connecticut.
Brookfield? Oh, Pride of Connecticut, everybody.
This movie. Like, I'm so prideful.
It's good. It's good to see CT represented.
Yeah.
Man.
So she was like 35 in this movie, you know. I love how Scarlett Johansson really takes a dig at her. She's like, I'm not going to be some white trailer trash sheriff, you know, getting pregnant at 16.
Yeah. I mean, good for her. She was pregnant at 16 and like overcome and became sheriff.
I know. Yeah. Like, and her mom's saying that. She's like, I didn't deserve that. I was like, yes, ScarJo. Like, that was really mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. We live in, where is this based out of?
Arizona.
It's in Arizona?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's not really like redneck, is it? I don't know.
But the thing is, it was just like the mom was like, hey, like, I don't want you riding a motorcycle with a strange boy without a helmet on, without any sort of protection. So like, hey, listen, just take the stun gun because I've been in your shoes. And she's like, you're some fucking washed up trailer trash piece of shit, mom. And it was like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ow.
Like, I really didn't deserve that. And, you know, Scarlett Johansson's like, I'm sorry, mom. But I was like, God damn, that like hurt me when she said that.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I don't even think I have that good of a job.
I mean, she's a sheriff. I mean, it's pretty good. But anyway, so I remember, dude, when this movie came out, even like 2002 or whatever, this was like same thing as like Jurassic Park 3. All these movies in around this time, my mom would just rent it on pay-per-view and I'd watch it like 15 times in a row. It was like this, Deuce Bigalow, Ghost Ship, Jurassic Park 3.
Evolution's a big one.
With David, Yeah, the guy from X-Files. The hell's his name? Oh my god. You know the guy from Californication and X-Files?
I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Oh my god, Mulder from X-Files. What is his name? I don't want to look it up.
What the hell
It's
is
David something, I feel like. Hold on, I gotta look it up now. Fuck. X-Files.
Duchovny?
David Duchovny. David Duchovny. Anyways,
Yeah.
so he's in Evolution. Yeah, I remember that. But this one, dude, like, I don't know. I'm trying to like think why this movie got made. Like, David Arquette, was he that big of an actor at this point? Like, I know the Scream franchise was big, and the third one just came out the year before. But aside from that, like, he was in Ready to Rumble and like C Spot Run and stuff like that. So I was just like, what is he? Like, what is David Arquette?
I mean, he was also in Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. I think that like also put him on the map with Scream. Like he was a big '90s actor. Everyone knew who he was. I think that's what it was. He was a household name.
Yeah, but like I'm not trying to hate on him. He's fine. Like I especially like him in the Scream movies, but he's like not a good actor in this.
He didn't want to be there. Towards the end, you're like, what am I doing? I'm running a motorcycle through a cave, and like we're gonna blow up these like spiders that are like CGI. Okay, all right, tell me when. Like I could just see him just being like so defeated on set. It's like okay, and then what do? I save the cigarette smoking lady, and I take her matchbook and I put it in the light. Okay, so how do you want me to shoot this? I'm just gonna do it. All right, roll the camera. All right. Just so depressed.
I mean, dude, there's a couple like the lines, especially when he's like walking up to the house and he's like, all right, like I'm a man and you're a woman. And I'm just like trying to imagine him like thinking this is good. I don't know. And then of course the end line where he's just like, get away from me, you 8-legged freaks. I'm just like, this is tough. This is a tough movie to get
that was corny.
Yeah. To get like really excited for. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hate on David Arquette. I'm just like, who could have done this better? I really don't think anybody could have delivered these lines really any better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can't picture anyone else besides David Arquette playing in 8-Legged Freaks. I'll tell you this though, if I ever run into Scarlett Johansson, ever, we both work for Disney, so let's just say we could run into each other. We're coworkers. I would be like, oh, Scarlett Johansson, you're Ashley Parker from 8-Legged Freaks, right? And she'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, Ashley Parker, 8-Legged Freaks, I love that movie.
She's like, I've been in a lot.
Bet she gets that every day. Yeah, she is a very beautiful woman, for sure.
What else was it? Yeah, so the other thing is really quick. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with this movie, but this poster, dude.
Sucks. It sucks.
Dude, I'm like, who?
It sucks.
It looks like a PowerPoint presentation. Like, who made this? It's like if a middle schooler is taking a Photoshop class. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. Are you looking at it?
Yeah. It's horrible.
What is his face is just like,
he's like, ah!
And then who's the woman screaming?
That's not even Scarlett Johansson or the sheriff. Who the hell is that?
I didn't think it was. Yeah, and they're looking away from the spiders that are coming at them on the poster. Let the squashing begin is the tagline. I'm just like, this movie was set up for a failure from the beginning. And I'm like, if I saw that in theaters, I wonder, like, I'm trying to imagine, like, what my mom must have thought when she's walking and be like, I want to see that. And she's just like, that looks so fucking terrible.
The only explanation for that poster is that they were way over budget with the CGI stuff. And someone came into the room and was like, oh shit, we got to start making the poster. And the guy's like, we have like $8 to make that. Like,
it's like, my kid's taking a Photoshop class. Do you want him to do it? Like, he could try.
It's like, isn't that what's that kid who likes Joshua and the Spider kid? Like, doesn't he like have a tablet thing? Like, can he make it? Like,
tablet? That's way too it.
Yeah, I know that's way.
Yeah, but so the poster looks like shit. But now that you're thinking about it, even this movie, like, I liked how it took place in, 20 years ago, but they're like, does anybody here have a cell phone? They said it like, like it is a pretty rare thing, even in 2003, for anybody to have a cell phone. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, you think about it, like 7 or 8 years later, everybody had a cell phone. Like, how drastically the world changed in a decade,
I know.
It's just so nuts.
I know. And it's so weird to think about too, like back then without a phone. I didn't have a phone until I was 15.
Yeah.
And it was a flip phone and it sucked. Mm-hmm. And my dad yelled at me because I spent too much money on ringback tones and I didn't even know it cost money. And that was about it. Now anything could be my ringtone. I could do anything on this phone.
Isn't that so funny that when you used to, you'd call people and a song would play like that and you'd pay for that? You'd be like, all right, when people call me, it's not just going to ring. It's going to play like Who Let the Dogs Out or something like every time you call that person. You know what? Remember
What
that?
did Justin have? Justin had like LL Cool J.
What do you have?
He had Mama's Gonna Punch You Out was the song he had.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He'd call Justin and be like, Mama gonna punch you out. Dad's gonna punch you out. Or whatever song it was. I don't
Dude,
know.
I totally forgot about that. Wow. But yeah, anyways, different time, man. Long time ago. But I don't know. Do you want to give a brief overview of the film just for anybody that hasn't seen it and you for some reason are listening to an Eight-Legged Freaks podcast without seeing the film?
Yeah, real quick synopsis. So this movie takes place in Arizona in 2002. It sounds like there's like a chemical spill from a trucker who's trying to avoid a rabbit in the road, and it infects all these like crickets and stuff. And this guy picks up all these crickets from this lake or swamp area that has the chemical spill. He feeds it to his spiders. Spiders grow crazy big, break out, and start terrorizing the town. Meanwhile, David Arquette is coming back to town to stop this guy from messing with the mines in the town and this rich like tycoon guy, and also to, I guess, prove that his dad found gold or something. And there's a lot going on. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
That was pretty much it.
I'm trying to think if I'm missing something. But then, yeah, the Eight-Legged Freaks break out. He gets with the sheriff and her family. And yeah, and they save the day by blowing up the mines. He finds the gold his dad had, and it looks like at the end of the movie they were able to come up with the gold because the radio DJ, who's kind of like the narrator in the movie, has gold teeth. So it's like, oh, they got the gold, and then that's the end of the movie. Did I do good?
No, you did great, but I just like you're like there's gold under the place, and like I guess they somehow found it or whatever. That is so like shoehorned in at the end, like.
Well, no, that was always probably part of the idea, like the mines, the gold, David Arquette. Why is he coming back to town?
For sure, but I just loved it right at the very end. Like he's like, I gotta go save my aunt or whatever. He runs back there, turns for a second. He's like, oh my god, like the gold we were talking about. And then they leave the mine. First of all, doesn't the whole mine explode, right?
Which makes you think like, okay, so they knew in the general location of where the gold was, so they probably dug there again.
Yeah, for sure. Like they definitely have already.
But they don't show or explain any of that. They explain zero of that.
Right. They're like, okay, this is where that massive spider lives, but it's like there's a huge gold that's coming out of there. So like clearly they found it, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly though, like I think they did a decent job of justifying how this like could happen. Maybe. I mean, definitely couldn't, but like I thought it was way more ridiculous. It's not just like, like an asteroid or something lands on Earth and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's radiation and that's why I like this. Like, no, they went a little deeper, nuclear waste, crickets eat it, spiders eat the crickets, like,
Yeah, it was like, it took like 3 steps for it to get to the spiders.
Yeah. So like, of course, like, and you've got that weird guy in the beginning, Joshua, who's just like, dude, like what kind of person like that's they want that for a job. Like you're going to be the spider guy who lives in the middle of the woods and you have all these spiders in cages. Like, what happened to that guy, you think?
I got nothing, man. I don't know. He likes spiders.
That's it.
He likes spiders, man. I wish I could be like, I don't know, man. Maybe he like was younger and like really got into spiders and like went to school. I got nothing.
For some reason, when I see like people that love like alligators or snakes or whatever, like, and they're in like the Florida bayous, I'm just kind of like, okay, like that's weird, but it's not as weird as somebody that like sets up a house and has like all these glass cages and feeds mice and crickets to spiders. I'm like, what happened to you?
All I do know is the actor that played this role is uncredited. That's what I know.
Right. So why?
Speaking of bayou stuff, have you ever been to one of those like gator fan boat tours?
I've been to Florida and Louisiana, yeah.
You've done both? I've only done Louisiana. Mm-hmm. It was fun too, and it was relatively inexpensive. But like the guy who ran it is like my father ran this, my grandfather ran this, my great granddaddy ran it. He is great, it's like okay, dude, we get it. Your family is like in alligators and stuff.
And that's the thing. It's like, for some reason, that doesn't weird me out as a guy that like rents a place in a strip mall that's like, this used to be a froyo place and now I've got a lot of spiders in here. It's like, that's so much weirder
Yeah.
to me than like, that guy in Louisiana is like, yep, my daddy used to do this and I'll do this too. It's like, okay, like, you're just a product of your environment. But this guy, like, you're not like, who does this? Who just collects spiders? It's weird. I'm sorry.
I remember the one guy. He was like, what's an alligator, gator's favorite food? And someone's like, oh, it's raccoon or the squirrel. He's like, wrong. It's marshmallow. And he starts throwing marshmallows at the alligator. It's just fucking wild experience.
Yeah, it's a freak show, basically.
It's a freak show. It's like they love marshmallows. It's like, okay, dude.
Dude, it's wild. But there was a time though, and this is of that time where I think Deep Blue Sea just like really did well, and they're like, all right, let's do. Oh no, Anaconda was first. So I guess it was Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea, then this.
Lake Placid as well. Don't forget Lake Placid.
That's true. That was 99. That's true too.
Where it was like CGI was really starting to be like not taking off because it already took off, but it was more budget friendly, is what I'd say. Where it's like we can make spiders like jump and stuff.
Yeah.
For relatively cheap.
But we did Arachnophobia, fairly recently. And dude, like, that's just like such a better movie. And this is 10 years later, and it's like, I feel like that's a something to talk about. It's like there was no CGI in 1990, so they had to rely on like a relatively believable plot, good like puppeteering, real spiders and stuff like that. Then 10 years later, they're like, why don't we just do it all with computers? And then everything else suffers as a result. You know what I mean?
Comparing this movie to Arachnophobia, it's like Arachnophobia is The Godfather.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a product of the time where it's like in 2002, they're like, okay, like we'll have like a not as good an actor as Jeff Daniels. The plot won't be as good as Arachnophobia. It's less believable, but we'll rely more heavily on the CGI. Where Arachnophobia
Exactly.
is like, we have to rely on like a good score.
Storytelling.
Yeah, like a good
and
story.
music. Yeah.
And I think that's like continued to now. It's like we can sacrifice good acting, good everything, basically, because we have good CGI.
Yeah. I remember the score in Arachnophobia was good. I can't even tell you one lick of music in Eight-Legged Freaks. I don't
Yes, you
remember
can,
any.
dude. It's literally like the itsy bitsy spider.
At the end of the movie, oh my god, yeah, the credits. I shut that shit off.
Yeah, I did too. I was on a plane and I was like, I'm not doing this. First of all, I felt so weird watching this on a plane, dude. And people are looking at me like, how old is this guy? I'm like, I'm 32. Get off my back. Like, I can watch Eight-Legged Freaks at 8 a.m. in an airport.
Dude, that's the worst, most random movie to be watching on. It's like this guy definitely couldn't find another option for the flight.
Imagine.
This guy can't find a book. This guy can't find a fucking DVD. This guy has nothing else besides Eight-Legged Freaks.
Imagine the person sitting next to me. They look around, wonder what this guy's watching. They're like, what the fuck? Why are you watching this?
There's millions of shows.
Oh, it's 8 a.m. on a flight, and that's what I'm choosing to watch. It's a pretty weird movie.
I'd be like, do you want a magazine or something? Like, do you want to share my phone?
They must think like something's wrong with me. They're like, all right, this guy.
Like, oh.
I never thought about it till right now. Yeah.
Someone definitely saw you watching that movie and thought that. Like, what the fuck? Like, out of all the movies in the world to watch at 8 a.m. on a 9-hour flight.
But the second the credits started too, it was like I was like, I'm enough of this. I just shut it off.
Slammed the laptop.
But the score does have that too, where it's like.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, we went on a tangent about that.
A children's nursery rhyme. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, fuck. But yeah, I guess the one thing that I did respect about this movie is actually they shot it in Arizona. Took place in Arizona, shot it in Arizona. You would expect this to be shot in like Canada or somewhere overseas, but you're like, you know what? Good for them. They actually shot in America.
I mean, yeah. Shoot it at the location where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that. Yeah, and then Gladys. Gladys. There's definitely like a trend in the early 2000s where some people are like, oh, you're the smoker, you're the bad character, like you're doing something wrong. And the smoking obviously is like a character trait of Gladys, but it actually mattered in the end,
It saved the day.
Yeah, exactly. And then like she does her whole little like, oh, smoking's a terrible habit, I wish I never started, sort of thing.
I guess smoking kills. Like, kill spiders, all right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Where it's like in the early 2000s, it felt like that was like a big awakening where it's like, oh, that guy's smoking. He's the bad guy.
Oh yeah, that was like the Truth campaign. Remember that? With like on NTV.
I mean, just like relentlessly talking about smoking cigarettes. Now they never. Now it's all vaping.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so curious. Like the programs kids have now at like fourth grade, third grade
So,
level.
well, that's what I mean. Like, but not even just like in schools, but like when we were in high school or whatever, or in middle school, it was always like the truth campaign. It's like, hey, like smoking cigarettes kill you. Now it's all vaping. So, like, did they just give up on the smoking thing? Are they like kids aren't doing this, so we won? Or like,
I mean, I think kids are just vaping now. Vaping and weed,
yeah,
probably more than just cigarettes.
you got to be a fucking real weird kid to be smoking a cigarette at like 12 now, when vaping is like an option.
Shit, man, that dude, I'll never forget the first time I was offered a cigarette was on the ski lift at Ski Sundown, and I was like 10 years old.
Really? Who offered you that?
Yeah, and I thought this guy just offered me black tar heroin with how I reacted.
Who offered it to you?
Some guy. I had to ride the ski lift with some random guy because we doubled up. He came on the ski lift
He's
with
like,
me.
you want a
It was
cigarette?
fucking weird. Swear to God. I mean, I looked older than 10 when I was 10 because I was like, I hit puberty very young. But like, I was in like a onesie snowsuit. Like, this kid, I'm not fucking smoking cigarettes. Like,
God. Well, I remember the first time, not the first time, but one of the times I got offered, this guy was like renovating our bathroom at my mom's house, and he was I think he's Polish, and he's from Poland. And he was just like, "Do you want the cigarette?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "If I told my mom, she'd probably fire you right now."
how old were you?
Probably like 13.
You're
Yeah.
13.
And this
Yeah.
guy offered me a cigarette, and I was like, "Dude, what?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm not gonna." My mom would fucking kill me, and she would murder you if I ever told you.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble, dude. You better shut up.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, "Dude, you better shut up, man."
don't offer children's like. I feel like, is it like to offer children cigarettes? Is that illegal now? Like, if you offer someone underage cigarettes, I wonder.
As far as I know, and I have not looked into this, but I think it's illegal to buy cigarettes. I don't. It's got to be illegal to smoke cigarettes if you're under 18. Or it's 21 now. It's 21.
Hey, you want a cigarette, kid? Like, I'm so curious. I never smoked. I mean, I had a cigarette once or twice in my life, and yeah, that's about
Huh?
it.
I've never looked into it. Yeah, I don't know. Huh? Yeah, don't smoke though. Seriously,
Yeah.
kids. I'm serious. I'm serious. Don't smoke.
Yeah, you're an American Spirits guy, or used to be.
I'm done. I haven't smoked anything in a couple months now. But like, do not start smoking cigarettes.
But, but if there's a spider outbreak of giant spiders, you could potentially save the day. So there is that off chance if you smoke cigarettes that you could save the day.
Oh, if there's giant spiders jumping around, I'm immediately smoking cigarettes
Yeah,
again.
chain smoke
I'll
away,
start
guys.
drinking. I will break I'll start drinking, smoking. I'm done. Like if giant spiders, dude, I'm done. Like I hate spiders, and then these things start. I'm like, I don't care about anything anymore. I'm off the rails.
Bro, it's funny. I haven't seen one this year, but last October, I had an orb spider, which they show an orb spider in this movie. The size like of like a $50, even bigger, like a huge spider. And the way it was making a web was like it was crazy. I know I showed you videos of it, right?
I feel like you did. You've sent me a couple.
You can see it on the Wheel of Horror Instagram page if you look through all our stories. You'd see this giant spider. It's insanely big.
Yeah.
It's an orb spider too.
Well, yeah. Luckily, I don't see there's many out in California. I think it's just because of the city I'm in. But dude, Connecticut has some bad ones.
Yeah, big old ones for sure.
Australia's the worst for sure, but Connecticut's second worst. Of all the places I've been, Connecticut's the second worst. Yeah, but they did a good job
Yeah.
though of like really differentiating between what the spiders could do. Like you had the trapdoor spider, the one that was like under the ground, it would like come up and like steal things, and then the orb web obviously was like the big one, that Consuela, that was its
The
name.
jumping ones.
Yeah, the jumping ones, the tarantula. Like they I will say, like, for 2002 special effects, like you're like, okay, I clearly know which spider's which spider. Like they did a good job.
Yeah, tarantulas get bad rap, man, because they're not venomous. You get bit by one, it's like getting a bee sting. It sucks, but it won't kill you and it won't hurt that bad.
I know, it's just that they're huge. I think that's the problem, and they're hairy and stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this too, though, and I maybe just because I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember thinking that Starship Troopers has better graphics than this.
And that was 97 or 98?
It's 97.
I think it does. I think it does, and I think that probably has a way with inflation, like a way bigger budget with their CGI than this movie. I think this movie was like, hey, we can do this movie for this price, and like let's just get someone like a wildly mediocre actor to star in it, and that's what they did. And I think it was successful. They almost made a sequel, right?
All right, so the budget was 30 million, that's pretty high, dude. Like that might even be higher than Starship Troopers.
That must have been. All right, so look up
All right.
Starship Troopers
Yeah.
budget too. So this movie, Eight Legged Freaks, was a $30 million budget with a box office of 45 million. So yeah, that's technically breaking even when you account like, for marketing.
Yeah,
and
okay, I was
stuff.
way off. So Starship Troopers is $100 to $110 million budget, and it made 120.
Yeah,
So that made like a $10 million show. Definitely, that was a box office bomb too. But Eight Legged Freaks, you'd think, because yeah, to your point, like the budget's much smaller, it takes place on a much smaller scale. They could easily have made sequels to this.
yes, but because CGI was way cheaper than what it was when Starship Troopers came out, that's why the budget for Starship is insane. This budget is relatively tight for a movie heavily based on CGI because CGI at this point was like, hey, we can do this for relatively cheap now.
I think it's partially that, but it's also just like Starship Troopers is about like other planets with like space and stuff like this is just like
Yeah, there's
hey,
yeah, the guns and army and yeah.
yeah, they're like we're at a mall in Arizona.
It's also a sci-fi futuristic movie rather than 2002.
Yeah, just like in a desert. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's not great. I was kind of sitting there like, but I do appreciate it for the time that it came out. You know, like it felt very reminiscent of when we were young and just to kind of, I don't know, see what passed, I guess, back then. But I wouldn't really recommend this movie.
It makes you it does make you reflect like, oh man, I remember being like 12 and this came out and like how different the world was.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, so it was interesting that they didn't ever make like a sequel, that went to like sci-fi or straight to DVD. I'm very surprised about that. Apparently, in 2021, they released a Blu-ray for the first time. So if anybody wants to watch it in HD, it's available. Oh, also in 2002, there was a video game, Eric, for Mac and PC. Eight-Legged Freaks, Let the Squashing Begin. So,
Let the squashing begin. Okay.
yeah. But what would you give this if you had to rate this out of 10?
It's a good 4 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You just said it so fast.
I mean, that's being nice too, man. That's nice. I think anyone would agree with that.
No, yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I'm just reading here really quick. I'd probably give it a 4 too, yeah. But the film was originally titled Iraq Attack, but the similarity to Iraq Attack made the title seem inappropriate because it took place during the Iraq War.
Because of the Iraq War.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be called like Iraq Attack.
Like arachnophobia.
Yeah, like an arachnid attack, but they call it Iraq Attack, and people are like, we're in a war with a country called Iraq.
So you do realize like most of the people watching this aren't going to be able to know the difference between arachnids and
Yeah,
Iraq.
exactly. So a lot of people are like, let's go see Iraq Attack. It's like, what? Imagine that was the movie.
Well, you just said it, and that actually that's what they thought of. Like, oh, most people in like the deep south won't be able to figure out.
I mean, I think it's pronounced Iraq. Like that's how it's supposed to be. But everybody's like, Iraq.
Iraq Attack? Oh, what's that about?
The other thing is, dude, I didn't realize this, and this could just be all made up because it's on Wikipedia. But remember in Jaws when he goes like, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," and that was ad-libbed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so apparently the title "Eight-Legged Freaks" is a line that Arquette ad-libbed in the movie "Get Back, You Eight-Legged Freaks." So look at that.
Wait, before the title was known?
So yeah, so the title "Eight-Legged Freaks" was a line that Arquette ad-libbed in the movie, and the line was "Get back, you eight-legged freak." So he ad-libbed that line, and they're like, "That's a good title for the movie instead of Iraq Attack."
Oh, that sucks. That imagine being David Arquette and hearing that. Like, let's call it that. That's a great idea.
Eight-legged freaks. I'm just imagining if like my kid wanted to go see this movie, and they're like, "Dad, I want to go see that." And I see the poster, and I'm like, "Do you really want to go see that?" And it's like, "Yeah." And it's like,
yeah.
Like the title, looking at David Arquette's face.
Well, dude, it's so funny you mentioned Jaws, dude, because we kind of had that experience with your cousin when we went to that video game store, and your cousin got to pick one his grandma got to pick, like, you get any video game you want, and he goes and he finds this Jaws video game, and we're trying to say like, yo, dude, you don't want this game. He's like 7 or 8 at the time. I don't remember.
He was young.
Yeah, he was very young, and we're like, but you really don't want this. And then he no, I want this, and he goes and plays it for 4 minutes, and he's like, this game sucks.
We're like, Hunter, we promise you don't want this. My grandma's like, hey, let him pick. It's his birthday. We're like, we're trying to help him.
It's like, we're trying to help him pick something he'll play.
And she's like, if this is what he
If
wants.
he wants the Jaws, the video game.
He's an idiot. He's 6. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. No, but yeah, dude. I mean, that's the thing. Like, this Jaws, the movie, I think was something that was like amazing. And then they made video games and sequels and stuff like that. And like, luckily, this one, at least they just stopped. They're like, didn't do very well. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, it's like you go to a blackjack table, you play a game of blackjack, and you win your bet back. It's like, okay, I think I'm going to leave now. That's what this movie did. It's like, we made our money back. I think we're done.
Barely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's pretty not great.
Yeah. And the best thing you pointed out that made this movie worth watching is just reflecting on 2002.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part of this movie.
Yeah. It just was like, I don't know, David Arquette, his behavior just felt like reminiscent of a different time. Like not that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you like David Arquette though, right? From WCW.
I do. Oh yeah. No, I like him.
You like wrestling, and I mean, he's like an actual wrestler, right?
He's a wrestler.
Yeah. And then I mean, that Ready to Rumble movie was kind of funny. I remember, sort of.
Oh, that's a classic. I love that movie.
It's got that was good, and then
with Diamond Dallas Page.
And I do remember C Spot Run was funny when I was 11. I like that.
I don't remember that one.
It's pretty bad, but I was a kid. Whatever. Anyways, I don't know. You got any last minute thoughts on Eight-Legged Freaks?
No, nothing else, man. Just 4 out of 10. I'll give it that.
All right. Well, what do you say you spin the wheel?
Yeah, we shall.
Spin the web. That's something they could have done. More web work. They need a little more web work in this movie.
No, like it wasn't like webs. It was just like they were shooting shit like slime at people and sticking them to the wall.
We need a sequel to this. There's more spider stuff to be explored.
No, we don't. We really fucking don't need a sequel to this, Alec. Now, like maybe in 2004, but like, hey, guess what they're making in 2023? Dude, Eight-Legged Freaks 2. Nine-Legged Freaks. It's like, dude.
That's what I was thinking it'd be called, but I'm like, that would be so dumb. Like, why? Why would it have one extra leg now? I was like, that's a good sequel, but I think just call it Eight-Legged Freaks 2.
All right, ready? Spinning! Oh, Urban Legend.
Oh, perfect. Are these all 2000s movies?
This is 90s, right? No, this is 2000 something.
I think it's a 2000 movies too. Let's see. Hold on. Urban Legends.
It's got to be early 2000s.
Urban Legends movie. I just want to see if we're staying all in 2000s. 98.
I was going to say this has to be 90s.
98. All right, cool. So we're going back.
Let's go.
Yeah. A simpler time. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to our episode on Eight-Legged Freaks. If you haven't had a chance yet, we released our episode on the Banshees of Inisherin on Fresh Film Fridays, and we will see you all next week with
Urban Legend.
Urban Legend.
Woo!